taking over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
It's Ferrall Coast to Coast in the biggest way possible right here on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have you with us on a pain-free Friday. Carver High in for Scotty. The Prime Minister, Cam Stewart, joins us momentarily here. Very busy Friday. We have the golf going on. We have one baseball game with the Cubbies and the Marlins. We have a full baseball slate tonight and game ones in the NBA and NHL playoffs that all start this weekend. NBA's got to get through tonight first, too. A couple of play-in games in the East and the West, as we'll be in Miami and New Orleans later tonight to see who gets those last two spots. So a lot going on, as always, here. We get it started with the birthday roll call. Let's go. Who do we got today? Spencer Knight at 23. Lou Dort, 25. Patrick Laine, 26. Yui Saros, 29. Chaz McCormick, 29. Mario Edwards, 30. Kelly Olnick, 33. Maria Sharapova, 37. Candace Parker, 38. Zach Duke, 41. Joe Mauer, 41. Troy Polamalu, 43. Martin Havlet, 43, legend. Dennis Reyes, 47. Jeff Wilkins, 52. Eric Jack, 52. Scott Kamenicki, pride of the Bronx, 60 years old. Harris Barton, 60. Al Unser Jr., 62. And Frankie Viola at 64. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. All right, we'll start things off today. We'll have a few things that we need to keep our eyes on. The Cubbies have a 3-0 lead already over the Marlins at Wrigley. Jamison Shots of Tyone making his first start of the season for Chicago, so he is on the hill there. Of course, we have the golf going on this afternoon, round 2 down at Harbor Links in South Carolina, the RBC Heritage, where Colin Morikawa, Tom Hoagie Sandwich, and Sepp Straka are all in the clubhouse at 11 under. So we do have a few guys that we are very involved with here heading into the weekend. Plenty of guys still out on the course. We're going to see if Scheffler, who's 4 under right now, still sitting at about 9 or 10 to 1, can make a little bit of a charge and get himself closer to the top for the weekend. We do welcome in all of our radio affiliates for El Coast to Coast on a Friday. Carver High in for Scotty. Cam Stewart joins me soon. SportsGrid Radio, Sirius XM, Channel 159, Sports Byline, and the mightier 1090 ESPN Radio in sunny Southern California. Great to have everybody with us here today. So we'll start with these play-in games for tonight in the NBA. The Bulls are going to be in Miami against the Heat. Same matchup we had last year in this spot, but no Jimmy Butler this year. Of course, he's out, not going to be playing. Bulls have been playing some good ball. Kobe White with the 42 spot the other night. We'll see if the Bulls can maybe push a little bit of offense here. No Rozier either for Heat. Got to see where they're going to get that scoring from. And I got to get it from Hero if he goes 7 for 28 again from the floor. So the Heat are going to have to find some points and try to hold the Bulls down. In the second game, we're going to have the Pelicans and the Sacramento Kings down in Nollins. No Zion for the Pelicans. Now, they're used to that the past few years in these games. They've played in these play-in games before. They've played in them without Zion. Ingram's a bit of a question mark as well. They beat up the Kings all year. It's one of the reasons why I kind of lean to the Kings. You know, the Kings, they got throttled by the Pelicans 5 times. All 5 times. I think the total's a little low. We'll get into all the numbers for that. Gabe Morency's with us in the first hour. As always, from Sports Rage Late Night, we'll get all of his thoughts for tonight and the weekend. And then we will dive into the game ones that we'll have. Saturday in the NBA, Orlando and Cleveland will get things going early. Phoenix and Minnesota, a game 1. We've got Tom Thibodeau on the Knicks and the Sixers, a game 1 at the Garden on Saturday night. And there's already been a lot of back and forth chatter with the Sixers and the Knicks, right? And that's what you need. You want that in the first round. You want that in the playoffs. You want the big rivalries. And there's been some talking back and forth. I had the guy Reed on the Sixers saying we wanted to play them. The Knicks guys today kind of brushed it off and said, we'll take care of business. Should be a lot of fun. Hopefully Embiid's going to be fully healthy for it. And we got that going. And then LeBron and the Lakers taking on the Nuggets in Game 1 in Denver tomorrow night. Swept by the Nuggets last year, swept by the Nuggets in the regular season. Can the Lakers give a little bit of a push in this first round to the defending champs? We'll go through Sunday's games as well. You'll get Game 1s with the Clippers and the Mavs, Indiana and Milwaukee. And, of course, the winners tonight are going to open on Sunday against the Celtics and the Thunder. Hour number 2, we will get into a few things. We have Dr. David Chow with us today. How about that? The Dr. Zhivago in the house to go through some of these key injuries. There's a ton of them in the NBA playoffs. NFL draft's less than a week away. We'll see if the doc's got any concerns with that. We also have the Lion's Share. Great to have Coach Young back in the mix today for the Lion's Share as we get ready for all of this NBA this weekend. And then we will start to go through tonight's baseball slate, which is very thick. Of course, only one afternoon game, the Businessman Special in Wrigley between the Cubs and the Marlins. Everyone else is in the mix tonight. We've got the Tater Time picks as well, a couple good ones tonight. We've got some guys in Tater Time with some real good history against pitchers that they are facing. So we will try to jump on with some of those. Final hour, we will get into the hockey here, as hockey is set. Of course, Vegas lost last night. LA won. So that means Vegas against Dallas in the first round in the Western Conference. Of course, they met in West Finals last year. That is a heavyweight bout for a first-round matchup. Dallas has been one of the teams I've had picked throughout the last couple months to maybe get there. I certainly didn't think they'd be facing Vegas in the first round. Vegas is going to get all their guys back, as they do every year around playoff time. Stone magically appears, and several others, and they become a different team. Very hard, though, as we always say here. Very hard when you get all the way to the end in the NHL playoffs to try to do it again. And I think that could be a problem for Vegas as they get ready for the Stars. Edmonton is going to face LA again. They've played the last few years in the playoffs as well. So we'll give you those series odds. And then all the game ones for Saturday and Sunday. 2 games on Saturday. Islanders will open in Raleigh against the Hurricanes in Carolina. And you will have Boston and Toronto on Saturday night. All the action for Sunday we will go through as well. Tampa and Florida are going to get together. The Rangers and the Caps will play game 1. Colorado, Winnipeg, Nashville, and Vancouver late night as well on Sunday. So we'll give you all that. We got some Laviolette for you, Brad Marchand, etc. And me and Cam will give you who we like for all of those series. Keith Stewart, of course, has been down in Hilton Head for the RBC Heritage. We're going to try to get hooked up with him again heading into the weekend. We'll see who we can add live to this tournament. No cuts, so everybody who's been out there today and yesterday, they're going to stay there throughout the weekend. Then we'll see what kind of plays we can jump on there. We also have Nick Alberga with us in the final hour. Of course, the Golden Muzzy, as he will preview these NHL first-round matchups with us as well. And if we got time, NFL draft's less than a week away, and the smoke's happening, man. There was like a couple of Jaden Daniels stories that came out just within the last couple of hours. He doesn't want to play in Washington. Washington knows this. That's why they're good. The odds have moved. They're going to go back to May. We shall see. All smoke this close to the draft. Ferrall Coast to Coast on a Friday. Carver High and for Scotty. We get it going right after this.
Just tossed an air ball, like in a critical. You're up by 2 with 20 seconds left. You said, give me the ball, up LeBron James, and you tossed an air ball. And there was AD under the bucket fighting everybody, and he ends up going to the free throw line.
They use Tavares as a friggin' pinata tonight. Dude, I know you're old, but get it together. This is your last run at something, man. This is your career, bro. Don't go out like this. Oh, it's hard watching this.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
So I turned it off. I got my sweat done, and I'm leaving. I'm taking my money. I'm going home, and I don't want to talk to you the rest.
Oh, yes!
There it is.
6-3. Catch the over. The over is hit. The Padres are our heroes.
That's how we end the show. That's how we end the show.
Oh, what? Let's just sign off. Let's just call it a show.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
The Philadelphia 76ers, who are the second best team in this Eastern Conference by a mile when Joel Embiid is healthy. That's just what they are. So now, if Giannis isn't available, the Bucks would be dogs in the series.
He ain't sleeping on that air mattress anymore. He's got a regular king-size bed, a Posturepedic, whatever they call it, a Sealy's, whatever they do, those things. He ready to roll. Denominating tonight.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
I mean, they're still the best. They're still the champs. Everyone wants to crown the Celtics the champions, but that's not the way it works. They got to beat them. And, they got to get through the East, which isn't going to be fun to begin with. Everyone thinks it's so automatic.
If it's just Boris is kind of losing his power, if whatever his tactics have been, yeah, move on.
Ferrall Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Ferrall Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It's the BetMGM offer of the week. Get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. For all the games in the playoffs. Set your picks and shoot your shot. And turn any game into a must-watch. Download the BetMGM app, and it's on.
And we are back for El Coast to Coast here on a Friday. Carver High in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. We'll get the Prime Minister in here in a moment. But first, we love telling you that BetMGM, they're doing it again. What is it this time? They're giving away free money in the state of North Carolina because while the green light has been turned on down there and everybody now needs to get involved. All you got to do is download the BetMGM Sportsbook app on iOS or Android or visit BetMGM.com. Sign up and deposit at least $5 into your newly created sportsbook account in North Carolina and place a wager in the amount of at least $5 at standard odds price. And once you have placed a bet, you will receive $150 in bonus bets, regardless of the outcome of your wager. Win or lose, $150, boom, right in your account. They're doing it again in North Carolina. Make sure you use bonus code GRID. That is bonus code GRID. BetMGM giving away free money down there. All right, Cam Stewart is with me again, the Prime Minister, of course, here. Scotty at the Little 500 down in Indiana this weekend. So we get you set for a very big weekend, Cam. We have a lot to do today. Tons of game ones in the NBA and NHL. We have a full baseball slate tonight. We have one game this afternoon with the Cubbies and the Marlins, the Businessman Special out at Wrigley. And the golf, hot and heavy here in the second round, as a lot of guys are in the clubhouse. We have a few groups still working on their back nine or about to. And we have ourselves a few guys at the top, Cam, which is always good to see here on a Friday.
Well, Carver, if golf was a one-round or two-round tournaments, me and you would be living on a golf course and probably not having to work, but it's a four-round tournament. It's funny. Most people, they say to their lover, good night, honey, and roll over and hit the pillow and snooze. I wake up and go, what did Carver say? Sepp Straka? Yeah, let's take a look at his updated odds. Hoagie? let's hit it again. So, you know what I mean? Other people are doing things, and I'm making crazy bets at night after Sports Rage. So, Carver, great call by you. It's not over, but we got a great number on Straka. You had a vibe about him, and now he's tied for the lead. Excellent call. I'm on him with you, and you're right. Literally, I'm looking at the top 10, and we have like five or six guys like right in the mix here. It's let's just hope for a good weekend. We deserve a big one.
Yeah, and look, sometimes, Cam, like we always say, it's a numbers game, right? I mean, you want to, and this kind of how this worked out for me last week at Augusta. You know, I had four of the five guys that were at the top there at the weekend, but I had them all at such good numbers, getting them at different times that anyone could have won, and I would have been fine with it, which is, Scheffler I needed a little bit more than everyone else because he was 4-1 when the tournament started, but still, we really have done a nice job here, Cam. We had Straka, we hit him yesterday at 25, 28-1, and now he's tied for first at 11 under. And you know what, Cam? They're still giving you 9-1 on him. You know, you would think tied for the lead late on a Friday, he'd be in that 4-5-1 range, but because you have so many heavies that are still involved in this tournament, you're still getting Straka at 9 and Hoagie at 12. Those guys are tied for the lead.
I'm happy where we stand, but I think I'm going to tell you, Sepp Straka is one of the most underrated, and the books don't understand how good of a golfer he is.
And
the guy's
he's
there
won
all
tournaments,
the time.
Cam.
Yes,
he's won 2 tournaments the last couple years. It's not like he's not like one of these guys like the dangerous Denny McCarthy's who's never won and all. Straka's won tournaments, so that's why he understands how to get to the finish line.
He does. If his name was Sam Smith from the USA instead of Sepp Straka from Austria, the guy went to score at Georgia. And I love that. I love the fact that, like, you know what I mean, other than hardcores know about this guy. But don't worry, Carver. We're going to be all right. We got really good numbers with our guys, and I see your boy Tagala making a run as well. Great. Looks like both of us are all over the leaderboard.
We are. I'll give you, you're right. Morikawa is also tied for the lead at 11 under. Tagala's at 8 now. Patrick Cantlay's in the clubhouse at 9. You know that I have a piece of him as well. Tom Kim played well today. Rory finished at 7 under. And, of course, Ludwig Gobert's there at 10 under, too. The kid from Sweden who finished second at the Masters last week, and he's having himself another very good tournament. So we'll have our eyes on the golf all afternoon here on C2C. 7-1 now, Cam. It was 3-0 before, but the Cubs have extend. They have opened it up. They had a 7-0 lead, and then Brian De La Cruz just homered for the Marlins. So, you know, it's funny, Cam. This game was a 7.5 total last night when they got rained out, if you remember. It was Tyone and Puck, and they had the same starters this afternoon, and the total went to 9.5. I'm sure the wind was blowing out in the afternoon in Wrigley, whatever the deal, and they've already got 8 runs in the 4th inning. I loved this over this afternoon, Cam, with these 2 guys on the mound. Let's hope we get another 2 runs and get it.
We don't even talk, Carver. It's like I'm living like behind a painting in your house or something. I'm on the over as well in this game. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, what's Carver betting? Oh, I'm there. Yeah, everything. We're ready to go, buddy. We're brothers from another mother. I'm telling you, Carver, I have a great feeling about this weekend. Me and you with bags, so you can take the family to Great Wolf Lodge again and not worry about it. Say, have fun, kids.
You know what? We need to hit a winner in that golf tournament for me to be able to do that, Cam. So let's hope that we can get the winner here on Sunday at the RBC. We will focus our attention, though, now to tonight. The NBA play-in games. There's only 2 left, Cam. 1 in the East, 1 at the West. The final 2 spots in the NBA playoffs. The winners will play on Sunday against the 1 seeds. The first game tonight is in Miami, where the Heat are going to be very short-handed, Cam. No Jimmy Butler. No Terry Rozier. So the Bulls come in playing some very good basketball, beat Atlanta at home the other night. They lost to this game to the Heat last year. So you figure, you know, this is not an experience that they're going to be unfamiliar with. Going down to Miami, playing basically an elimination game. Here is Billy Donovan on the challenges that the Heat present.
As much as you can in a 36-hour window, but the reality is there's going to be loose balls, there's going to be hustle plays, there's going to be physicality plays, there's both teams shoot 50%. You're probably talking about 50 missed shots by both teams. That's a lot of loose balls, and
a lot of loose balls.
That's they obviously are really good at those things, and will be really tested to do a lot of those things at a really, really high level. And then obviously guarding them with the 3-point shooting with Hero and Robinson, and the way those guys can move and cut and pass. And then about facilitating all that stuff. So there's a lot, in terms of to get prepared for playing against them.
Yeah, there certainly is. And without Butler and Rozier, Cam, and I referenced this to you yesterday, I'm kind of wondering where the Heat offense is coming from, right? I mean, where are the Heat going to get all these points that they're going to need against a Bull team that's been scoring at a pretty good clip, and their offense has found itself. Now, Hero was 9 for 27 from the floor the other night. He does that again tonight, Cam. They're going home.
Problems.
I can tell you that. They need Hero to have a huge night and not shoot 9 for 27. They need Adebayo to contribute more than 10 points. The Heat need to find other ways to score tonight, Cam, if they're going to be in this game.
You're right. I don't know if they have alternate scoring. As for Chicago, it looks like guys are heating up. We talked about it before. White's on fire. DeRozan's an animal. Like, I got to be honest with you, Carver. I know Miami's at home, but, like, I'm surprised at the number. Like, I just, I was just talking to Dave Sherapan on his show, and, like, I like the Bulls. You like the Bulls. I think Morency likes the Bulls. Like, you know what I mean? And I get pause for concern. That's my problem as a gambler. I worry too much about bad lines, but maybe it's just the way it is because people talk about that Heat magic, right? So, but I'm taking the Bulls tonight.
2.5 yesterday, now 1.5 here this afternoon, a couple of hours away from tip. 206.5 is the total. We kind of said this yesterday. If you like the Bulls, you probably like the over. If you like the Heat, you probably like the under. And I like the Bulls, Cam. I ain't going away from it. I think the Bulls are going to win this game tonight. I think that Kobe White's on a heater right now, and that's going to continue all the way down there to South Beach. I've got a little bit more on this game, Cam. We'll do the other game as well after I talk to Morency. Ferrall, Coast to Coast on a Friday. Carver High and Cam Stewart for Scotty. We're back after this.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It's when he swung it easy at three-quarter golf swings, and he pretty much hit his number all the time. Dude, but when he hit something full, he hit it 20 yards over the greens at times. He's like, what are you doing?
He's just smiley, happy, and a freakish athlete golf robot that's going to be right there winning majors for the next 10-plus years. It's amazing.
Did you say he was smiling or smiley?
Only on SportsGrid.
They're still the best. They're still the champs. Everyone wants to crown the Celtics the champions, but that's not the way it works. They got to beat them. And, they got to get through the East, which isn't going to be fun to begin with. Everyone thinks it's so automatic.
If it's just Boris is kind of losing his power, if whatever his tactics have been, yeah, move on.
Ferrall, Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Talked about the Ohtani story. This interpreter, Ipe, clearly was a problem gambler. I mean, he would be identified as that and beyond. Now, there are a lot of others that are out there.
The timing didn't seem great. It seemed slightly tone deaf in terms of, maybe now isn't the time to say it. But the sentiment itself, you have to agree with. There's only so much a sports betting company can do, right?
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Ferrall, Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
And we are back for El Coast to Coast here on a Friday. Carver High in for Scotty on Sports Grid and Sports Grid Radio. Great to have everybody with us here today. Gabe Morency's with us every day on C2C. Of course, Sports Rage Late Night, 10 p.m. East, every weeknight right here on the grid. All right, Gabe, we got a lot to do because it finally begins. You said yesterday, Christmas Eve for us, NHL and NBA playoffs are now all going to get underway. We do have to get through these two play-in games tonight. We have the Bulls and the Heat in the first one. We have the Pelicans and the Kings in game number 2. Key injuries in both games with Butler in the first one and Zion in the second one. Let's start with tonight and where you're looking.
These are tough matchups. Specifically, I find every Miami Heat game to be a difficult handicap to begin with. And both these teams are in similar situations in the sense that Jimmy Butler's been out a lot over the years, and Zion's been out a lot over the years. So both teams are used to playing without these guys in their lineup, which is something that should be noted. But I think the Pelicans can absorb it better tonight. The Bulls really have nothing to lose. They're going to bomb threes. If the shots fall, the Miami Heat are going to be in trouble. I respect Eric Spoelstra. He's a great coach. But I do lean with the Bulls here to actually beat the Miami Heat tonight. I think the Bulls have some confidence. I think the Bulls are better than people give them credit for, actually. Caruso says he's good to go. I think that's a big difference for them as well. So I lean with the Bulls. I don't love it as much as I like the Pelicans tonight. Sacramento were a good home team, number one. Golden State were on the ropes, right? Golden State were an aging fighter. Golden State were like Muhammad Ali, against Trevor Burbick or something like that later in his career. And Sacramento, even though they were a little bit shorthanded depth-wise, they were just too much for Golden State. Not to mention, they know Golden State well, right? They've got a rivalry with them. They played them a million times. They don't match up well with the Pelicans for whatever reason. The Pelicans own them, right? The Pelicans always beat them, and Zion's been out a lot, guys, over the last couple of years. So there's and if you want to get into the plus minus and the net rating and all this, they're actually better when he's not on the court. Even though he scored 40 points the other night, I get it. And I like Zion. I'm not an anti-Zion guy, but I like Zion Williamson. But with that being stated, they can play without him. And it just means more shots for Ingram and for McCollum. They're going to have to hit these shots, but I think they will. So give me the Bulls and the Pelicans tonight.
We're reading the same mail, Gabe. I'm with you. Bulls and Pelicans for me in these two games tonight for the play-in. NBA for this weekend, we have game ones in all of these series. Saturday, we got 4 games on each day. We know all the matchups for Saturday already. In the afternoon, you got Orlando and Cleveland. You've got Minnesota and Phoenix. The night is where it really gets heavy with some rivalries. You have the Knicks and the Sixers, game number 1. Lakers and the Nuggets. Nuggets swept them last year. Nuggets swept them in the regular season. I do see some people, though, Gabe, who think this time the Lakers will be able to give them a little bit of a push, even if they don't win the series.
Yeah, I'm one of those people. If you look at the Denver Nuggets, like a lot of teams that win the championship, you see with the Vegas Golden Knights, it catches up to them a bit. They've played so much basketball, right? And now here we go again. If you look at the pace of the Nuggets are a really good team, and I think they're winning the West. But it doesn't mean they're going to win by 8 and 9 every night. I think the Lakers are getting tired of losing to the Denver Nuggets all the time. And I think it's going to be a similar look. If you look at the series last year, they got swept. They were in every game, right? And pretty much every game they lost by 6, 7, 8, 9. It fell apart late. The Lakers were in pretty much every game. They were in every game. They even battled hard in that game 3, in the game 4 when they could have rolled over. And they didn't. So I'm expecting a very competitive series. The Lakers are another team. I think people get so caught up in LeBron and the ups and downs, right? He's either the best or the Lakers suck or this or that. But the Lakers are quietly a pretty good basketball team, Carver. Like a lot of people on the East Coast don't see them, but they're not bad. I mean, we're talking about a team that's like, 14 games over 500 right now, right? Like they didn't stumble in. The West is just that good. It wasn't like the Lakers aren't the Bulls and the Hawks. They're not like 5 games under 500. Austin Reeves can ball, man, right? D'Angelo Russell's on fire. It's a contract year for him. They've got good chemistry. They got a good flow. Like the Lakers are a good team. It's unfortunate for them that they get the Denver Nuggets, but I do think they cover, Carver. And out of all the games, I do like the Lakers plus the 7. It was 7.5. It's been bouncing around. But if I had to pick one bet, like out of the 4 games, I think the T-Wolves are getting disrespected.
Me too.
Like people are buying into, Kevin Durant this and Bradley Beal that. I think this is, it's not quite Golden State and Sacramento, Carver, but I'm not buying it. I think the Phoenix Suns are like an aging fighter, and Anthony Edwards is like a fighter in his prime right now. Like they're the best defensive team in the NBA. Phoenix are going to have to hit their 3-point shots for 7 games. To 4 out of 7. You got to do it at least 4 times out of 7. I don't think they can. I think Phoenix, I don't believe they can. I think Minnesota's youth and size will bother Phoenix enough, not to mention somebody on the Suns could get hurt, right? I have no confidence in the Suns. I think Minnesota win the series. I like Minnesota in game 1.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that Minnesota's going to be right there with them. I think that series has a lot of distance to it. Clippers and Mavs on Sunday. Let me just give you that one from Sunday because Mavs are favored in this series. I know Kawhi, who knows the deal with him? He hasn't even had contact in practice. He's probably not going to play. We know the deal with Kawhi. But I think the Mavericks are primed for a little bit of a run here.
I'm expecting Kawhi. Kawhi, this whole thing. Kawhi's going to step up.
It's nonsense.
I don't know.
The injury reports, all of it.
From a fan standpoint, this is a super cool series, right? It's great stuff. You got a bunch of future Hall of Famers. The Mavericks are literally like the hottest team in the NBA right now. If you look over the last month and a half or so, they're almost like the Edmonton Oilers or something. Like how many games did they lose? 2, 3? Like they're literally, 17-2 or something like that in their last 19 games. They're on a freaking run right now. I like the Mavericks to win the series, but I think this has 7 games written all over it. I think, in the NBA, so in other words, it's going to take 4 weeks, take a month for this series to be played. But, you know what I'm saying? But I lean with the Mavericks here. But I can't lie to you and tell you, I love this game 1. I'm looking forward to seeing the series, how it plays out. Yeah. But for betting, from a betting standpoint, I'm going to bet them all, but the ones that I like the most, that I'm like, I'm putting big money on that. I'm going T-Wolves in the game 1. I'm going Lakers plus the 7 on Saturday night. And the Pacers and the Bucks, I like the Pacers to win the series. And, the game's a pick 'em, so I'm going to have to take them. If I think they're going to win the series, I think they're going to have to win on the road, so I'll take the Pacers.
Game 1's in the NHL all weekend long as well. Of course, Vegas lost last night, which means they're going to play the Stars. That's not until Monday, but still, that's a hell of a first-round series game when you consider the defending champs against the Stars, who have been so good so far this year. But we will get started tomorrow with 2 games. We have Islanders, Hurricanes, and then Leafs and the Bruins once again getting together in the playoffs. I give the Leafs a chance, Gabe. I think they can win the series.
I think they can. I think they will. I think all 4 Canadian teams are actually going to win their opening round series. If you parlay that together, it's plus 929.
I saw a prop for it at 10-1 at one book. I saw 10-1 for all 4 Canadian teams to win in the first round.
And so you got the Jets against the Avs. So there's a couple of not easy ones. Jets versus the Avs, Leafs versus the Bruins. Hell, the Canucks and Predators isn't easy. The Predators are smoking hot.
I think that's going to be sweaty for Vancouver. I do. I think that Nashville-Vancouver series is going to be very sweaty. 7 games.
I think they're all going to be close, Carver. Like your Islanders, no one's really giving them a chance against the Carolina Hurricanes. You know what I think this series is going to be? I think it's going to be like the Lakers in Denver. I think Carolina's going to win, but it wouldn't shock me if they won like 4 times in overtime. You guys would be like, whatever. We lost 3-2 every game. Like, you know what I mean? One of those like weird deals. I think the Islanders could win a game or 2 here.
but I think it's going to be competitive. But I do think the Canes are going to get it done. Tomorrow night, I do think the Leafs win game one. Listen, bro, the Leafs can't afford to lose game one. You know what I mean? Like, I know it sounds cliche, Carver. A lot of teams will be like, well, whatever, dude. It's one game of a 7-game series. If you're the Maple Leafs, this is a culmination of past failures. It's a lot like the Bills, Carver. You know, Josh Allen can say, I have nothing to do with the Bills losing Super Bowls before. Yeah, you do. Like, you're part of it now. It's like one big, like, you know what I mean? Why do you think we're so mad at you? Because we're still mad at Jim Kelly, right? It's like one of these, it grows, and you know what I'm talking about. It builds when you're like a hardcore team that hasn't won. It just sort of like at some point, it's like a pot of boiling water. It's like, man. So the Leafs can't afford that panic of the media and, oh, my God, you lost game one, and, oh, they're done. They're a bunch of losers, and, oh, should you sign up, fire everybody? They can't allow this. I think they show up and they understand they need to win game one on Saturday night to beat the Boston Bruins, and I think they will at plus 105. Let's say Tampa and Florida go to overtime. I think that's going to be a competitive series, Carver. And Nashville and Vancouver on Sunday night, I'm going to be at the game. I'm expecting that series to be pretty low scoring. I don't think goals are going to be easy to come by with these teams.
That's playoff hockey, baby. But I think that Tampa, you're right, Tampa and Florida, and I don't think that's going to be low scoring at all. I think just like the last few years, you're going to get some 5-4 games in that Florida-Tampa Bay series, just with the way that they go up and down the ice. All right, Gabe, enjoy the weekend. Enjoy Vancouver and Nashville on Sunday night. We'll see you tonight. Sports Rage Late Night, 10 p.m. East, right here on the grid, coast to coast. We're back right after this.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It's when he swung it easy at three-quarter golf swings, and he pretty much hit his number all the time. Dude, but when he hit something full, he hit it 20 yards over the greens at times. He was like, what are you doing?
He's just smiley, happy, and a freakish athlete golf robot that's going to be right there winning majors for the next 10-plus years. It's amazing.
Did you say he was smiling or smiley?
Only on SportsGrid.
They're still the best. They're still the champs. Everyone wants to crown the Celtics the champions, but that's not the way it works. They got to beat them. And, they got to get through the East, which isn't going to be fun to begin with. Everyone thinks it's so automatic.
If it's just Boris is kind of losing his power, if whatever his tactics have been, yeah, move on.
Ferrall Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Talked about the Ohtani story. This interpreter, Ipe, clearly was a problem gambler. I mean, he would be identified as that and beyond. Now, there are a lot of others that are out there.
The timing didn't seem great. It seemed slightly tone deaf in terms of, maybe now isn't the time to say it. But the sentiment itself, you have to agree with. There's only so much a sports betting company can do, right?
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Ferrall Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
And we are back, Ferrall, coast to coast here on a Friday. Carver High and Cam Stewart in for Scotty on Sports Grid and Sports Grid Radio. Great to have everybody with us here today. All right, Cam, let's get a few of these things in. By the way, the postman, JT Poston, is now up there with those guys at the top of the board at the RBC. I did just see him miss a birdie putt, and he tapped in for par. So he is playing the back nine right now down at Harbor Links. He'll probably, I'm going to guess, Cam, at some point be the leader in the clubhouse. He'll probably pass these
13.
guys. And yeah,
13.
The main thing is that they took, it was 3 going into today, right? He was at 8, everyone was at 5 or 6, and now everybody shave a couple of strokes off of that, and then they can shave a few more, and he'll be at 9th by the end of tomorrow. So I know you have posted, so I hope
I do
you
too.
have posted,
I want you to get on him with me. I want to win together as a team, Carver. That's what we do. We work on this stuff together. It'd be nice if we both hit up 5 dimes or something.
I will stalk the numbers tomorrow while he's out on the course to try to get a good number that I can get involved with him here this weekend. Let's finish the first game here. These are the most bet player props for tonight. The Bulls and the Heat. DeRozan under 26.5 points. Kobe White over 2.5 threes. Bam over 4.5 assists. Bam over 20.5 points. Come on. And DeRozan over 5.5 assists. The most popular player props for tonight's game.
I don't know that. So people are smashing DeRozan under. I know it's a lot of points.
Well, the Heat defense, everybody thinks the Heat are the basketball version of the '85 Bears. Cam, they think that
they're not.
I know, I know that.
I like the white too. Do you like that white? I don't like the juice, but he'll hit three pointers.
I'll ult him, Cam. This is like a me and Lisi greedy play. Instead of the 2.5, we'll ult him to 4 or 5. We'll play him for 4 threes or 5 threes. We'll ult it up to a bigger number because I'm not paying minus 150 for over 2.5. So
your show should be called the Greed Gang or Loose Lisi.
Yeah.
He goes. I see his first round leader bets with the guys. I'm like, okay, the guy's just on the tour, 300-1. I love Lisi. He's always looking for
Chandler Phillips or whoever it is that he played this week. He's on Chandler Phillips over. How did Chandler Phillips even get into the RBC Heritage event this week? I have no idea. The Pelicans and the Kings will be the nightcap for the Western Conference spot. Winner will play the Thunder in Game 1 on Sunday night. Here is Pelicans head coach Willie Green. Well, they were 5-0 against the Kings in the regular season. Willie says that don't matter anymore.
I have a ton of confidence in this group. We've been in this scenario before. We've been in these types of games before, so they're well aware of what's ahead of us, and we know we've beat Sacramento 5 times, but this is different. This 6th game is going to be the hardest, so we're expecting it.
Yeah, it should be. You'd like to think it's going to be the hardest. I will throw it out the window as well, Cam. It's hard because we do this a lot in every sport, right? Doesn't matter if it's the NFL, you're playing a team for the 3rd time in the playoffs, or we do it in hockey, we do it in baseball. Team dominates a team throughout the regular season. How much stock are we putting in that? Especially since it's not a series either, Cam, right? We're not talking about they're starting a 7-game series with that. This is a one-and-done situation tonight. I'm not sure how much stock I do put into the 5-0 against them this year.
I agree with you, Carver. I think it's an overrated thing. And look at in hockey, Boston beat Toronto 4-0, and I think they're going to beat them in the series. It's all tight games. Things can a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit of luck. I'm going to tell you, I like the Pelicans though because I just think they've played a lot without Zion. I think they're a good team, but I don't know how you feel about that game. We'll get into the picks later, but right now, strong lean to the Pels.
Strong lean to the Pels indeed. Let's hear from Mike Brown first before I give you all of the numbers. Of course, the Sacramento Kings head coach, he knows that facing the Pelicans is going to be a very tough challenge.
We know what we have to do against New Orleans, and we know we can't relax against them. They're a very, very good team. They're well coached. They got length. They got shooting. They got inside scoring. Hey, our formula is the same. We got to hit first. We got to hit second. We got to hit third. We got to get out in transition and not play against their set defense all the time. And we have to have different guys step up like tonight. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they got to step up and score 35 or 40 or anything like that. But they have to bring to the table whatever they can bring to help us win.
Whatever they can bring. And they're going to need that, Cam. We talked about this earlier in the week with them missing some of their secondary guys. No Monk, no Herter, guys that usually make a lot of threes for them. And Keegan Murray stepped up and hit 8 threes in that game against the Warriors on Tuesday night. So they're going to need something like that. Now, this was 1.5 Kings yesterday, right, Cam, when we did this? Wasn't this 1.5 for Sacramento? Well, now 1.5 for the Pelicans a few hours before tip. So this line has flipped. Total has ticked up to 210.5. I think this total gets completely blown away tonight, Cam. I think they fly through. I gave you, I think it was either you or Joe yesterday on the radio. I gave you all the numbers. The 5 games they played, 133, 121, 129, 118. They played huge numbers in those 5 games. Maybe who wins isn't correlated, but I think the style of play in those 5 games isn't going to change. This thing flies over 210.5 for me.
Sacramento's going to have to play speedball to win. That's who they are.
Yeah.
And, I got off my pick last time I got on Sacramento. I got to give Foster and the crew, a lot of credit. Tommy Reynolds, he's a Sac fan, and I thought they could take care of business. And what impressed me about them, though, Carver? Usually they have a big lead and give it up, and they find ways to gag. But in their last game, they actually extended, and it never was out of question. That's a good sign for Sacramento. Extend. That's the thing. They never extend. But the thing is, the Pelicans are a battle-tested team. I can't wait for this game. This is going to be my favorite game out of the 2 tonight, without even question.
Pelicans and the over for me, Cam. Pelicans and the over. I'm going to take the Pelicans to go for the 6-0 here tonight. Same thing. Most bet player props for this game. Brandon Ingram over 5.5 assists is the top player prop. Valanciunas over 23.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Trey Murphy over 17.5 points. CJ McCollum over 23.5 points. De'Aaron Fox under 6.5 assists. Your most bet player props for tonight.
I like that Valanciunas prop.
I like the Valanciunas boards by himself, Cam. I think it's in the 9.5, 10.5 range. I would alt it up to maybe 12. I'm there with that. And each night for the Kings, there's a different guy who hits 3, 4, or 5 threes. It was Murray the other night. You just have to find the guy for the Kings that's going to hammer all those threes home.
I got to tell you, McCollum, after that last game, you got to expect him. He was playing great basketball. 23.5 looks attainable.
It certainly does. So there you go. Sacramento and New Orleans. The winner will play Oklahoma City. That's the last game, I believe, on Sunday night. So they'll have plenty of time to get themselves ready. Okay, Cam, game 1s in the NBA this weekend. We talked a lot about the series aspect of this yesterday. Let's now look at game number 1 for them. 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon East is when it will all begin. Orlando will be in Cleveland against the Cavaliers. Cavs for game 1 are -4.5. 207.5 is the total. I told you yesterday I like Orlando in game number 1. Don't think they're going to win the series, but I think that they're going to give a little bit of a shot to Cleveland in the first game.
You know what, Mike? I agree with you again. I think Orlando can win this game outright. I think it's going to be right. Even if Cleveland wins, it'll be right around the number. Very similar to the Heat-Philadelphia game. You know what I mean? Between the 1 and 4 mark, we're getting 4 in the hook. I think it's going to be right down, maybe to the last possession in the game. And I would not be shocked if Orlando won. I'm with you. I'm taking the Orlando Magic, but I like Cleveland in the series as well. I think this thing goes 7. Cleveland wins in 7, but Orlando can get game 1.
Wow. Game number 2 on Saturday afternoon, 3:30 p.m. East, in Minnesota, where the Suns and the Timberwolves will get together. T-Wolves 1.5-point favorites here in game number 1. 214.5 is the total. The good news for the Suns is, Cam, you know, they really didn't have a lot of time this year where everybody was healthy, except maybe the last month is when they finally got everybody together for an extended period of time. I'm sure that's going to maybe serve them well here going into this, that Beal, Booker, and Durant were able to all kind of stay out there. But they're always one step away from one of those guys going down again, right?
Yep.
With all three. And give Durant credit. I believe Durant, he didn't miss many games. He didn't really have any injuries this year. Beal and Booker did, but Durant was pretty good this year, Cam, so we have to give him credit.
I will give him credit, but the problem is there's one ball, and a lot of the guys on Phoenix going to want the ball. Minnesota's been in this position. It's time for them to step up. We talk about Edwards, one of the next rising stars of the league. Carver, they're at home. This is a very important game. I actually think the winner of this game, like if Minnesota wins this game, I like them in the series. But Phoenix, if they win, Minnesota's in big trouble. I know it's game 1. I think it's a must-win game for the Timberwolves just because of their past. It's one of those things. They're playing a veteran team. You got to make a statement out of the gate. I'm taking Minnesota. It will be a smaller unit play in comparison to the hockey plays and some other basketball plays that I have.
Yeah, Durant played 75 games this year. I wanted to go and look quickly and see what it was. For Durant, that's outstanding for him to play that many. Yes. And you make a great point about psychologically for the Timberwolves to win this first game at home to just keep them going. Because, you know, if Phoenix wins game 1 on the road, Cam, you could see a little bit of a spiral situation. Gabe was kind of mentioning that with the hockey with Toronto and Boston tomorrow night.
Yes.
Like, it would be so huge for Toronto to go out and get that first game and get off on the right foot. Usually, sometimes game 1, you don't want to put too much emphasis on it. But for Minnesota, Cam, it does feel like that would really help them out here. Get that nice jump at home against a team that everybody thinks is going to beat you.
It's a great point. I think the Leafs, that like I'm saying too, they win that game in Boston, it changes everything. All their psyche to beat them in their barn. Sometimes, as you know, we talk about other important games. Sometimes you got to win that first game in the series to get your head right. And I think Minnesota needs it. Toronto needs it. It's very important. I'll take the Timberwolves, Carver. I hope you're on my side for this one. But we know how damn good Phoenix is or can be.
I'll take the Wolves. I'm in on the Wolves with you, Cam, for game number 1 tomorrow. Knicks and the Sixers will play game 1 at the Garden. That's at 6 o'clock East on Saturday. Let's hear from Thibodeau first quickly on facing this 76er team.
You know, Embiid obviously, you know, there's a lot to deal with, but Maxey, they have a number of guys. Harris, you know, Lowry's played well for them. Batum, obviously, been around a long time. A lot of big shots. Healed. Great shooter.
Gibbs looks beat down.
Score.
I was going to wait till he finished to say it to you.
He looks like the guy at the bar that asked me for money. I'm like, I just got back from New York, dude. He's like, can you buy me a beer?
He looks like he just completely, like, he hasn't slept in 3 days. Like, he's been watching all of Sixer film, and he's going through to crunching the numbers. He just looks so like, let's just play the game at this point. Like, he's just so finished with everything.
I know that look. I know that voice. That's a man that he has insomnia. He looks he's been beat up.
Mackenzie Hughes making a birdie run here, Cam. 3 out of 4 holes for Mac Hughes as he gets to 9 under right now. All right, I'll save the numbers for the Knicks until the top of the hour, and we'll finish the rest of those NBA games that we are going to have. We'll come back. We've got a little Donnie Rightside and Joe Ranieri from this morning on the early line. And then we'll get you to hour number 2 here. Ferrall, coast to coast on the grid. Carver High and Cam for Scotty. We're back after this.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It's when he swung it easy at three-quarter golf swings, and he pretty much hit his number all the time. Dude, but when he hit something full, he hit it 20 yards over the greens at times. He was like, what are you doing?
He's just smiley, happy, and a freakish athlete golf robot that's going to be right there winning majors for the next 10 plus years. It's amazing.
Did you say he was smiling or smiley?
Only on SportsGrid.
I mean, they're still the best. They're still the champs. Everyone wants to crown the Celtics the champions, but that's not the way it works. They got to beat them. And, they got to get through the East, which isn't going to be fun to begin with. Everyone thinks it's so automatic.
If it's just Boris is kind of losing his power, if whatever his tactics have been, yeah, move on.
Ferrall Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
We talked about the Ohtani story. This interpreter, Ipe, clearly was a problem gambler. I mean, he would be identified as that and beyond. Now, there are a lot of others that are out there.
The timing didn't seem great. It seemed slightly tone deaf in terms of, maybe now isn't the time to say it. But the sentiment itself, you have to agree with. There's only so much a sports betting company can do, right?
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Ferrall Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time. Not sometimes. It's every time.
Game time decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live. Prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage Late
Sort
Night.
of has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
And we are back, Ferrall, Coast to Coast, here on a Friday. Carver High and Cam Stewart in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have you with us. All right, this morning on the early line, of course, our man Donnie Rightside had Joe Ranieri with him, and our man Joe said he is big on the under in the Heat Bull game tonight. Let's hear it.
Oh, no, these are unders. Miami will win this game 89-80. I mean, that's kind of what we're looking at. Kobe White is not dropping 42 on anybody in this game. I mean, congratulations, Chicago. You beat the Hawks, who ended the season as the worst covered team in the league at 29-54 ATS. You are not bringing that game into Miami and beating them with it. It's not going to happen.
Wow, Joe says, you guys are nuts. He says we're crazy, Cam, is pretty much what Joe is saying to us there. Unders, and here's a good thing for Joe, unders in these play-in games the last few years, 15-7 to the under. And 80% of the bets are on the over in the Heat Bull game. Look out. 63% of the bets are on the under in the Pelican King game, but 15-7 to the under. I'm sure, you know what? I want Kobe White to go and score 35 points tonight and have this game go over, but Joe's probably right. It'll probably be 89-81.
You know what it is? Well, his bet's correlated. He likes the Heat in a grind-out game. If Chicago probably wins, it'll probably go over the number. But I don't like the fact that 80% of the public's on that number. These are things that worry me. Sometimes I wish I didn't know these things.
Well, Ferrall says that to me all the time. I love giving him those numbers because it makes him rethink all the things that he's already put in, and I give him all the public. It's tough. You want to you're walking to the window, Cam, with 80% of everyone else, so that's a very hard thing to do sometimes.
I had under 6.5 Avalanche Oilers. There's 5 goals after the first period and 6, and I win. I smashed it. It was amazing.
Hour 2, coast to coast next.